Yes, of course. You must have heard the president said it on the floor. He said 47.9 trillion. But if you do all of the calculations based on the figures presented, you discover that that total actually is not the real total. The real total is 49.7 trillion. The budget office has confirmed this, and of course the presidency might be coming out in the next few minutes to also make that adjustment, which the error was made in the presentation. But the actual figure, which it amounts to, is 49.7 trillion. This is what the president presented, 47.9 trillion. But I tell you, it's 49.7 trillion at the end of the day. But let me allow you to listen to what President Bola Tinubu said.
Government expenditure in the same year is projected to be 47.90 million naira, including a trillion naira, including 15.81 trillion naira for debt servicing. Our budgetary allocation underscore this administration's strategic priorities, particularly in advancing renewable agenda and achieving its developmental objectives. The highlights of the 2025 budget allocations: defense and security, 4.91 trillion naira. Infrastructure, 4.06 trillion naira. Health, 2.48 trillion naira. Education, 3.5 trillion naira. As we embark on implementing the 2025 budget, our steps are deliberate, our decisions resolute, and our priorities are clear. This budget reflects a renewed commitment to strengthening the foundation of a robust economy while addressing the critical sectors essential for the growth and development we envision.
So that was a presentation of the president today. Well, there are a lot of drama, including when, this is perhaps not new to a lot of people. Those who are in the National Assembly, largely, most of them are politicians. You imagine the attention it drew when they started chanting, "On your mandate, we shall stand," a repeat of what happened the last time. Those who are ardent supporters of Bola Tinubu, from the very popular song that was being that used to be sung for him in Lagos, it has been brought to the national politics. But that drama is not our attention. Those figures are our attention. The implication of those figures, how it will affect the average person. And tonight, we'll be digging into those facts. I'm bringing tonight a member of the Appropriations Committee, a member of the Finance Committee in the Senate, Senator Jimoh, who has always advocated for more borrowings. Now, if you look at the debt servicing portion and the percentage of the debt servicing in the budget, perhaps it will get us talking. And some of these estimates get us talking tonight. Senator Jimoh, thanks so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Nice to be here.
And I know that with your education outside of the country, you will imagine you'll be thinking about this budget in dollars. If you look at it in dollar terms, with an exchange rate on the parallel market of 1,600 so plus to the naira, you will imagine that this budget is actually small budget compared to some states in the United States or some other countries of the world. But in totality, talk to us about the estimate, 49.7 trillion. What is your view, first and foremost, as Jimoh, not as a senator now?
Thank you very much, Sean. I think it was a fantastic engagement today at the National Assembly. The president brought a budget of hope, renewal, restoration, and a projection of 47 trillion. Budget office have to do the analysis, so if we like, we can put it at 49 trillion, and the spending of 34 trillion, deficit financing, about 13 trillion naira, or that about 15 trillion, if I go to your figure of 49 trillion. This all of this trillion, by the time you put it to the realistic time of the dollar, is about $30 billion budget, $1 billion that the president presented. You will compare that to America's budget, and if you do so, you don't forget that America also is paying $45 trillion in debt. The most interesting aspect of the budget is the fact that it's actually lay a foundation for a robust future economy that will create that opportunity. But don't forget, this the budget is futuristic. It's not the budget of today. It's a budget of tomorrow. So challenges are there that you mitigate against the budget. Now the good thing again is that the debt servicing has come down very drastically to about 60-something% from almost 90-something% that we had before now. That means the president has made some fantastic savings, and which again is trying to distill into fundamental issues of education, about 3 trillion, defense, about 4 trillion, student loan moved to about 8.5 billion, to be given to the students this year. For this reform, about 100 million people will be off tax nets. And don't forget that revenue to tax ratio is, Nigeria have the lowest, about less than 15% as of today. So meaning that about 75% or 85% of the people are actually not within the tax purview. So that's exactly what is happening. So to me, as Jimoh Ibrahim, I see the budget as a critical, instrument resulting from the previous year's reform that want to have a respite to the future and drive Nigeria into a foundation of economic robustness, particularly when you look at those critical areas that the president want to touch in 2025. I think, by and large, it's a fantastic budget. It's a deficit budget, and the amount of deficit is just about 3% of the GDP. So
3.96%.
That's 3, even 4%.
13 trillion.
We will put it at about 4% of GDP. That's not bad at all. Because if you look at that,
you will want us to borrow more.
Well, you borrow more for development. The reason for this is very simple. The cash ratio to GDP is where President Tinubu is having challenges. So when he came in, the cash ratio to GDP was less than 1%. Now, as of today, the cash ratio to GDP is 1.5%. It's still very low. There is no cash. That's the problem. So he needs to create strategic engagement to make sure that he up his revenue collection in order to do domestic financing, and that is why the borrowing issue comes up. But it is if there are cash, there will be no problem. But you have a GDP of 1.5% cash ratio to GDP in an economy, it's tough to manage.
Are we? Are we very? Is Nigeria so attractive for lenders or to lenders?
Oh, of course. The people now, the economy is creating some level of legitimacy. Acceptance from the international scene. For example, the central bank went for 2.5 billion or thereabout euro bond.
Yeah.
It was oversubscribed to 9 billion. They had to return money back to the investors. Why are the investors wanting to subscribe from 2 billion euro
would
bond
you, as a businessman,
Yes.
would you invest in Nigeria considering the instability of the currency and the exchange rate?
No, you see, investment into Nigeria is not prem on foreign exchange alone. You look at the future. Okay, somebody who invested in Nigeria last year, at this time last year, and now you look at the exchange rate and what's going on with. It's a lot. You look at the tax system that's very friendly. 18% GDP to tax ratio. Which country does that in the world? When some countries are even having 92% GDP to tax ratio, meaning by 92% of the GDP and the tax net. Here you have 18%, we still have about 82% opportunity to tax. But you cannot tax, understand that, because of the economic power of the people. So this is why Mr. President is having, some friendly face, human face, to say that, okay, let me go all along to see that I increase the volume of participation in the budget and the economy, the size of the economy, GDP ratio, as well as looking at what do I need to use, even if I borrow money. He's telling you, I will service the debt, whatever debt I borrow, I will service by 15 trillion. 15 trillion minus 49 trillion. There's surplus money here in order to have opportunity for Nigeria.
So now the question is whether or not in time, most of the debt that we are servicing are in foreign exchange.
Yes.
They are not in our local currency. Some of the monies that we collected 1 year ago, we probably are paying 3 times of that amount because the dollar to the naira is almost triple the value at that time. Isn't that a problem in the first place?
No, it's not a problem because you look at it from different angles. If we are saying we borrow, we do this, we do that, you don't forget the fact that the economy itself, totality of the economy itself, when you are saying borrowing, you are saying this, the legitimacy of the people is increasing. The sovereign ratio of Nigeria has moved up. And once you increase your sovereignty rates, then it means that you are more people want to participate in the economy. If you draw down your sovereignty, then nobody's going to touch you. So in terms of international economics, we look at what is your sovereignty ratio. So if your sovereignty ratio is attractive, it means that foreign investors will come. And I can predictably tell you this. Just note it, by April, when you enter any plane coming from London to Lagos or America, you'll probably see more foreigners, than the black. Because people will take opportunity once your sovereignty increase in terms of rating, once you are telling us that you have simple economy whereby you can repatriate your currency back. So the next thing to confront is unemployment. And the president is saying that I am even going to look at the health sector. So I'm going to decrease importation of drug, but I'm going to ensure that drugs are bought by government and distributed to people. Now, is it not amazing that for the first time, Sudan will be getting 8 billion naira to support their education?
Look, I mean, it's
an incredible nice time.
It's interesting. You have not agreed with some of the policies of President Tinubu because you thought that there are areas in which we needed to have service such that we create some buffers. But now, it does look like you think that the 2025 budget may bring some hope. But then I see a few problems here. If you are injecting about 6 trillion naira for social services, are you not calling for a problem of inflation? Because we now have had a lot of inflation in double figures, over 30% of inflation rate. Food inflation is there. Injecting that amount of money for social services, isn't that a call for a problem in inflation?
The president said very clearly from the speech at the National Assembly that we drag that to 15%. So how does
is that realistic?
It's very realistic.
How is it realistic?
For
over double.
Because you are not going to print more money because you are servicing your debt. We are 15 trillion naira out of 49 trillion naira. So obviously you have a large buffer. Don't forget about foreign reserve is $42 billion. Total budget for this year is $30 billion. We can even finance the budget from foreign reserve.
But it's not that straightforward.
Very straightforward. Central bank.
So you go to your foreign reserve and just finance.
We will have surplus in savings. As I talk to you right now, savings account is now recording surplus. Now, what I'm telling you is that if you have $42 billion in savings, meaning the president have saved money from his reform, $42 billion in savings, right? Now, and you have a total budget of $30 billion. Why are you really worried about the performance of 2025 budget? It's going to be a critical year of success.
Yeah, because the thing is that another part of it is that you and your colleagues have approved that the 2024 budget will still have almost 6 months of intrusion into the year 2025 calendar. So that means
that is for capital projects. That's not for recurrent.
Okay.
Recurrent expenditure, we didn't approve anything because the executive have told us they have almost about 95% performance or more. So when the issue came out at the Senate today, we just felt at some point to even extend the recurrent. The only thing we have said is capital project because money is going out to...
Would there be an overlap or how would that happen?
There's no overlap.
So the question is that if the 2024 budget performance is recurring,
yes,
the 2025 budget here, when will it start?
No, I told you, 2024 budget extension is on capital project, not on recurrent expenditure. And the reason for that is that money is already advanced to contractors. They need to perform those capital projects by the collected money. If you don't extend it, don't forget financial law says that at 31st December, all money not expended should be given back to the central bank. You don't want to go up and down front and the project becomes abandoned and they are not attended to. So that's why the extension at the request of the executive only for capital projects, not for, and is constitutionally allowed. In the 2025 budget, it's just a straightforward budget. Like I told you, you have a savings, you have a reserve of 42 billion. That even tells you, Jimoh, that you're going to have naira stability in 2025. Because if you have 42 billion in reserve, and you are spending 30 billion budget size, you still have 10 billion reserve, which is much more. If you take your budget away from your reserve, what is left is even more than the money in circulation. So obviously speaking, we shouldn't be worried about the fact that interest rate can be driven down in that year because you are looking at the macroeconomic policy that central bank is going to introduce, in the year. Don't forget you are going to witness things like recapitalization of banks, foreign injection of money. You see how 47 billion. And the president said this very clearly, that oil production will move from 900,000 barrels per day to 2.02 million barrels per day. Is that
realistic? You are from the oil producing area.
Why would it not be realistic? Because
when was the last time we did over 1.8, over 1.9?
Check the security index. If the security index is positive, production of oil will go up. Why can't Nigeria be positive about Nigeria?
But why? I mean, I'm saying that it is good to be very optimistic. Yeah. But is it safe, rather, financially safe, for you to be overtly ambitious? Because we're talking about production. Now, the estimation of the production will impact on your fundamentals, your revenue. So the question is that if you are missing it in terms of your target and expectation in your production, your revenue base will have a problem. Should you have force majeure or any other issues? Or you can even not meet your target on production.
If you tell me what are the challenges that the budget may face, it's quite different. In that way, every budget in the world, in the geocentric political system, have one challenges or the other. In fact, the geopolitical system can be a challenge to any budget, be it United States or anywhere, or domestic political challenges, or it's insecurity. But give it to President Tinubu, whether you like him or not. I'm not a spokesman. Security index has improved. Before I come to you on this television, I checked security index of Nigeria from the global system. So I see positive security index, meaning that the army, soldiers, police have done excellent job in no city or local government or state is wearing Boko Haram flag as of today. So if you increase, just a minute, if you increase your security index, you have opportunity to produce more. So if you produce more, you have more revenue. So your revenue is even double. You are moving from 900 barrels a day to 2.2 million barrels a day. That is a lot.
The president is saying that he's going to spend 5 trillion naira on security. And it's tagged the budget of restoration column securing peace. Rebuilding prosperity. I have a feeling that the president wants to do some things in terms of security. What do you suspect that is on his mind?
I'm a security man. He's going to spend more. He wants to bring in technology to resolve problem of security as opposed to using manpower. And that engagement will cost him money. He's likely going to develop an app that police will use, army will use, and track down security. It's a bad 2025 is the worst year for criminals. For those bandits, very terrible. Because 5 trillion developing app for security engagement, whereby you put up your phone, you can know how many guns are around you, simple app you press. Nigeria developed that. And
has that been developed?
And the president said that.
Is that been developed?
You asked me, what is the president's mind? And the president said in the Senate, clearly, that I will approach it from technology advancement. He will use AI, to distill AI into the security personnel and make your life comfortable for them. And if he's able to do that with 5 trillion, what is the distillment going to lead to? It will lead to more revenue as we're able to produce more crude oil. And this way, you make more money, and then the economy becomes more. I'm not saying there are no challenges here. I'm not saying that. But I'm just telling you clearly that, honestly speaking, it's a good thinking that Mr. President is doing. Because if you spend 5 trillion on security, fresh 5 trillion injection, surely we will have more peace. And if we have more peace, you produce more oil. Now, if last year you are doing 900,000 barrels per day, and you're going to do 2.2, you have doubled your revenue. And that is the reason why servicing ratio of the debt has come to 60-something. That doesn't mean the debt didn't increase, mind you, because the president said GDP to debt ratio now is 52%.
I'm interested, actually, on some of it, whether or not this government is going to do right in doing the right kind of infrastructure, not inflated infrastructure, not over-bloated kind of infrastructure, because it's planned to spend, here is it, 16 trillion naira in the area of infrastructure development. And that looks very interesting. Although I'm a bit disappointed that agriculture and food security is getting only a paltry 826 billion naira. That, for me, agriculture should be a very major, should get a major spending in 2025. For us to be, if we want to be a giant in security, we should be a giant in producing the kind of food that we eat. But my major problem here is this. If you are saying to us that, Bola Tinubu, Nigerians, give me your trust in 2025, on what basis should we give the president the Nigerian trust? If we look at the indices of the economy over the last year, they are woeful. They are terrible records of economy. And there are those who will say the economy team have done a very terrible job. The indices are saying that, not by anybody's criticism, but the indices are saying they are otherwise. They are in the negative, Senator Ibrahim.
So look at the geocentric economic performance.
Let's look at the indices.
I'm coming to you.
No,
Listen. Nigeria is on an island on its own. Understand that? Nigeria is a member of the Committee of the Geocentric World. Now the issue is that what happened globally affects Nigeria and any other country in the world. And the comparison you are doing, you don't dare compare the performance of last year's budget with the last year of Buhari. Don't go there at all, because you will be completely disappointed. Because Nigeria was on financial dangerous lane as at that time. Cash ratio to GDP was less than 1%. Borrowing was terrible. Servicing of debt ratio was about 98%. Now we are back to this 1 year. Don't forget, this government is just 18 months. I mean, give him time. If you look at the way Mr. President presented the budget today, it was simply gesticulating, meaning that he was, even by practice, was very happy because he looked into the future and what is coming to Nigeria, that there is hope in perhaps a hopeless situation that we met ourselves. So to me, don't look at the fact that, oh, the agriculture, this and that. You're thinking about total infrastructure. That is the total budget for infrastructure. They are cut across all sectors. The president talked about infrastructure in the health sector. He talked about infrastructure even in the military, infrastructure for the students. So it is not just agriculture alone. And let me tell you, if you don't have your peace, you cannot have agriculture. You cannot have food production. If kidnappers are taking a farmer from the farm, if they are stealing their products, there is no way. If they don't have road to carry their product to the main place to go and sell. So these are issues. And for the president, a lot of money have been earmarked for this security. So if you secure the country, then to him, you have peace. If you have peace, then you have development. But development without peace is not development. And if peace is missing as a parameter, then of course you don't get anything, because you talk about security for who, when, and where. And the president is addressing that. For Nigerians, in Nigeria, and right now. And in 2025, we want peace, we want security, we want restoration. We want to advance the hope agenda.
Senator, I love your optimism, and largely because you are optimistic, because you are a member of the APC, you are in our caucus of Bola Tinubu. But the question is, I didn't make any comparison.
Yes.
I'm just telling you that in the last 1 year,
yes,
look at inflation rate, for example. Look at food inflation.
Yeah.
These have grown astronomically. On their own, this government came into power and things have gone astronomically, almost double in terms of these indices. And I'm asking you that if you are a lecturer, of which you have been, would you pass a student who failed or who had failed by cutting the value of his mark by double? I mean, if you had inflation of less than 30%, and now you are having it over 40% in just in 1 calendar year, is that a failure or a pass?
Sure, let's look at it this way. You're talking about students failing or passing. Where, I said something to the government of Bola Tinubu when they first came, and they didn't do it, and I'm sure they must be regretting it. I said, publish the data that was handed over to you. Let Nigeria knows the state of economy.
So you don't think that we should hold Bola Tinubu responsible?
You cannot be held responsible when you are servicing your debt.
When he's held,
just a minute.
Held power for how many months?
Listen. When you are servicing your debt, before Bola Tinubu came, you are servicing your debt with 98% of your revenue. 98% of your revenue. Now Bola Tinubu is having the debt now at 68%. And you think he's a poor student. He hasn't done anything. The cash ratio to GDP before Bola Tinubu came was 0.7%. Now Bola Tinubu cash ratio to GDP now is 1.5%, double. He's not a good student, according to you. So let me tell you, you cannot solve all the problems in one day. Now look at the face of Bola Tinubu government in the international system. He's a liberalist. Look at what the fermenting or the standing of other liberal states supporting the government, by policy. Now, when you come to the IMF and the World Bank, they seem to hate him when he first came in. What are they doing? What are they saying about him now? They want to give you more money if you want. You will want to support
those who will believe that he's dancing to their tune. Dancing to their tune because he's taking their policy against the interest of the Nigerian populace.
This is not a fighting issue. When the Nigerian external system becomes so prosperous like this, when the last time the German president was here? When last was he here before now? Now you look at the president's visit to France, look at the president's visit to so many countries, to South Africa. Look at what South Africa did 24 hours after Mr. President's arrival. We change our visa policy. You can go and get our visa without even submitting your passport. All of the, what has Dubai done? Look at the debt owed to Dubai. Look at the central bank had $10 billion cash payment required from the day that gentleman entered that place. Invoices that were calculated like this. If British Airways will leave London and come to Lagos, and he will not be sure of refueling back because the fuel supplier were not paid after 90 days, that will be disaster. But now, everybody is coming in because the central bank governor, just a minute, was able to reduce those backlog invoices of $10 billion to 7. And he's saying the remaining 3, we are doubting those invoices. In 2025, those invoices are not there, mind you. So that 10 billion savings is coming to pattern in the economy. Look, I won't be part of this. If the government if Bola Tinubu is doing well, let's say he's doing well. If he's not doing well, let's tell him he's not doing well.
What is he doing right now?
What is doing excellently well.
According to Jimoh Ibrahim.
By global standard.
All right.
And let me tell you, just a minute. I was in Chad. In Jimoh, was it Jamaica? What's it called?
In Jamaica.
In Jamaica. I went there for African Interparliamentary meeting. I sponsored myself. Nobody sponsored me. Now, I went there. I bought a bottle of Ragulis water for 5,000 naira. And when I was sitting in the 5-star hotel that we took, during the morning breakfast, we ate with a lot of flies in their own 5-star hotel. You will be doing that.
So you are comparing Chad with Nigeria.
But you are comparing Nigeria with America. No, so what give me the answer?
I'm actually in the indices are standing alone. I'm saying indices of 2024 against the indices of 2023 when Bola Tinubu got into office.
No,
let's make that comparison.
In 2023, he came in when? March, was it May 27, 29? That is the day he stepped into the office. May 29. 2023. And today, he has spent just 18 months. Why not allow some stability?
Cambridge and Oxford scholar. It's always a pleasure having a conversation on the economy and the governance. And I love to disagree with you sometimes. It's a difficult one to do. It's a difficult one to do.
I enjoy that.
Because for someone who boasts of these kind of degrees, you must know what you're saying to be able to argue economics with him. Thank you so much, Chidi.
Thank you, Sean. Nice to see you again, and I love to see you in April when I come back again.
Thank you.
And you see Nigeria, you will be in competition with
foreigners. That is my prayer.
Foreigners coming to
Let Nigeria be great again. That's my prayer.
That's my prayer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senator Ibrahim. We'll take a break, everyone, but we'll look more. Is it realistic or ambitious? The policies, the projections of the Bola Tinubu, more analysis when we return from this break, everyone. Join us again.